Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Cochise County Sports Show. I'm Dave Davies.
And this time for real.
This time for real. That guy's Paul Pizzy Quarter. And in the middle, the star of the show, head coach Dennis Baker of the Buena Colts. Good morning. How are y'all doing today?
Great. We're doing absolutely fantastic here, Dave.
I was asking them.
For joining, yeah, well, they're not in here yet. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on our Cool FM Live Sports Show. We got a lot to cover today. The All-States for the AIA football didn't come out, so we're going to hold off on that again, although I do have the Canyon Athletic recognitions that came in. Breen Academy's got a few people. We're going to stick to basketball. We were at the Benson Holiday Classic. A lot to get into. We actually got to see a lot of these teams going, and it was a great adventure. I think Rachel Thursby from Tombstone actually passed 1,000 career points at that tournament. Sebastian Lopez also surpassed 1,000 career points. But we have Dennis Baker on here, and the one thing that we want to start off with and talk about, Dave, Julian Duran. How about this kid?
Oh, yeah.
Now, everyone saw it on Cool FM, 36 points from three-pointers, 38 points totals, 12 three-pointers. But even in the game I did last week, he went 5 of 5 for three-pointers and got you guys started off hot against Marana.
Yeah. He's been on a run lately. I think he's made 24 threes in the last 3 games, and he's just doing it in unbelievable fashion. I think that game you're talking about, he had 5 threes in the first
15
quarter.
points in the first quarter.
It was 5 for 5.
Yeah.
Right? In the first quarter. I think the next game he had 6 threes and went 6 for 7 or something like that. And then obviously the record-breaking night, he went 12 for 15. So he's not just making a lot of threes, but doing it at an incredibly efficient number. I mean,
12 and 15 is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's 80%.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
So, he's definitely got the hot hand. Credit to his teammates for keep looking for him and feeding him and keeping it going. But, kid's been on fire lately.
And we talked about it a little bit in the pre-show. Now, the great thing about Julian Duran is, for Buena, there's never been an out-and-out shooter like that. I mean, we had DeAndre was there. He could pop a three-pointer. They had a good backcourt at that time. D'Angelo could do it. Nelson can do it. But nobody's out-and-out three-point shooter. So it's not like Buena lives by the three and dies by the three.
Right.
So you have a great offense, and this is just an added complement to that offense.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's been some good shooters to come through and play for Buena over the years, just during the modern era Buena. I know Cooper was a kid recently that comes to mind who was a part of the team a few years ago that got up to the #1 ranking.
See, that's the problem is we only broadcast like 2 years ago.
Well, this is just a few years ago. Cooper Jones was a great shooter. I got a chance to coach him a little bit at when I was an assistant there, and then Keno Bellinger was one from a few years even before that Julian broke his record. He had previously hit 11 threes in a game versus Douglas back in, I think, 2017 or something like that. 2017. So Julian broke that record. So we've had good shooters, guys that could really shoot the ball. I know there's some more, even before that. But no, to what you're saying though, it's not our #1 offensive option. Is to shoot the three ball, and we have
you're a transition team. Yeah.
We're trying to get out in transition. We're trying to play fast, and we play defense. And Julian's just he's got the hot hand right now. And when you get it going, we're a team that's going to look for you and try to keep it going. And it does help that we have guys like Jamin Booker, Jesus Pacheco, Kingston Clark, Ricardo Brooks, and Adam Nelson, other guys that defenses have to worry about that. It's hard to go into a game and trying to scout and prepare just for Julian shooting when you have, Jamin jumping out of the gym and Zeus doing as much as he does. So real good things good to see Julian get that going and lead the team in scoring and with the way he's been shooting, it's been awesome.
Well, 4 of your 5 starters are on our preseason All-Cochise team, so we know exactly how.
And I don't even think Julian was one of them.
He wasn't. Trust me, he's getting there now.
That just shows, where he's not necessarily like that. He's gotten so much better over the last few games or the last couple of weeks. It's more about the depth of our team,
absolutely,
and the type of players that we have and who can step up on any given night.
I was saying, when we got so excited to talk about Buena basketball, what we didn't mention was that we're at the Sierra Vista Golf Center at Pueblo Del Sol today. You see the big giant toy box sitting behind Coach over there. They have a Toys for Tots program going on down here at Sierra Vista Golf Center. Again, so many golf specials. Get the Vista card. Come down here and play some golf. It's going to be 75 degrees today. I'm going to be out there sucking in about an hour.
I guess you're right, because we don't have that in the shot either. This is also brought to you by Synergy HomeCare, providing non-medical home care for people that struggle with activities of daily living all across Cochise and Santa Cruz County. We actually partnered with Buena, the nursing program, and so you can get academic accreditations for working for Synergy. So
shout out to Synergy.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about the Buena Colts. Your next game is Thursday?
Yes. We have a tournament. We're playing at the Aztec Classic at Pima Community College. Some of the best teams in Southern Arizona are going to be in this tournament.
Probably should have asked you about the schedule before the show. I know Dave's going to be there for the first game that's actually on Max Preps. So is it one game, 2 games, or how many games a day are we looking at?
It's one game each day. It'll be one game Thursday, which we already have our opponent for that game. And then after that, it just depends on the results of those games. So winner will go on to play another game, evening games. Mm-hmm. If we lose, I don't expect us to lose, but
one does.
Losers would play still one game the next day, but it would be in the mornings. Okay. So we expect to play in the evenings.
So this isn't a developmental tournament. This is all systems go. Everybody's playing.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going in. This is again, it's a holiday tournament, so it's not necessarily going to count for PowerPoints and stuff like that. But it is a chance for us to mix it up with the other top teams in Southern Arizona and teams that aren't going to be on our regular season schedule, so that we can kind of measure ourselves and really fine tune before we, after this tournament, we're on break for the holiday, and then when we come back, it's regular season conference basketball. So,
but I like that it doesn't contribute to the PowerPoints, because that gets us to what we saw at the Benson Holiday Classic that we were at, where we did see Douglas, a 4A team, then we saw St. David, a 1A team, and Valley Union, a 1A team.
Mixing it up, yeah.
Exactly, so you don't have to worry about the losses, and you get to, like you said, it's a measuring stick for all these great teams. And again, we are live, folks, at the Sierra Vista Golf Center. Once this chat starts piling up, Dave's going to have a question to try to get you free golf.
Yeah, I need some interactions first before I try to give away 9 holes. I had a question I was telling Coach. I don't know if it's too easy or not, but I'm pretty sure that somebody out there can figure it out. But we do need some interactions first before I give away golf. And, again, this also want to mention to you, Texas Roadhouse. Mention that you watch this show, you get free fried pickles or potato skins. Yeah.
Okay.
They pay for the month.
Oh, okay.
They get the month.
Okay. I didn't know.
We have integrity here.
We really need a pre-show.
But
anyway, let's go ahead and get into some of the action. Let's start with these Buena Colts. They went 2-0 last week, 6-3 overall. They got DRCA coming up in the Pima tournament, and then we'll see after that. Of course, Coach, if you do advance to the finals, make sure you text us so we can get up there and cover it for you.
For sure.
And we're going to talk about Julian Duran. Oh, Ryan Russell in the chat says, "Yo, Roadhouse." Thank you, Ryan, for coming in, our biggest supporter. Julian Duran
hit 12 threes in a game. My God.
25 points per game this week as well from Julian Duran. So congratulations, Julian Duran.
Another thing I'll say about that, dude, that's just amazing about it too, is he did that in 3 quarters. He didn't play the 4th quarter.
Oh, I saw the scores 100 to 36.
It was 100 to 37. So with our starters not even playing in the 4th quarter and him not playing in the 4th quarter, so he did 12 threes in 3 quarters of basketball. He had exactly 4 threes in each quarter. So. And then he did other things too. I mean, the kid had 5 rebounds, a handful of assists, a handful of steals. He drew a charge, which we've been on our team about being able to do that better. So probably the best game of his life.
Well, the hustle stats, I noticed at least, I don't know, Dave probably has too because he's more of a baller, that you're not going to see the forward Buena unless you're doing all the little things too and getting the dirty work done.
Yeah, exactly right. And for somebody who's known as a shooter, it's easy to just be that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, especially when you're just making them like that. Right. Yeah, you're like, all right, I'm going to stay here.
You feel entitled. I'm going to sit here in the corner, get me the ball, and I'm going to do what I do. But no, to be flying around defensively and drawing a charge, getting steals, helping the team with rebounds and stuff is like I said, probably the best game of his life. He scored 38 points. He knew he was close to the record, so he went for it, got it. He was within 4 points, I think, of the team record for scoring. I think the 42 is the most any Bueno.
I think our boy Randy did that.
No, you reminded me of a story. Remember when Klay Thompson had 60 points through 3 quarters and they benched him?
Yes.
And I'm like, he's going for Kobe right now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, how do you put that guy on the bench?
So
Like,
what do you?
you have to though. You're up by 90 points. Like, what are you going to do?
That was the exact situation we were in that night, where it's like, man, it's 90 something to 30 something.
Yeah, he
I
can go
want
for
to
the
leave you
record,
in
but
to go for it, but at some point it's disrespectful.
Yeah, absolutely,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And so I'm
So
like,
that's got to be tough. Where you're like, oh man, he can break every record that we have right now.
I don't
but
think
you're
so.
up by 1 million. You know what I mean? So it's.
I don't think so. I have subscribed a little bit to you got a team on the floor, stop them. Or don't schedule them, or whatever.
and they were trying.
Recon
and
University, these are 4A schools. They're competent basketball programs.
And Recon 6A, so.
Oh, Recon 6A is what I mean. You told me that last week, too.
Yeah.
This is the second time I forgot that.
I don't want to be.
And Ryan Russell says don't have injury either. You don't want to risk injury, especially on the hardwood. That's very
especially a valuable player that you're going to need in the future.
But
yeah.
man, oh man, if he keeps that
Great
up,
game.
the sky
Great
is the
game.
limit right now for the Bueno Golds.
That is a question that I think is becoming more prevalent as we get into sports nowadays, as a lot of people are looking at season-long management, not just game management anymore. And so
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I'll give you a second to think about this question. You know what's coming.
Okay.
But how do you balance game management and making sure you put your best foot forward and your team remains confident versus season management? Like Ryan Russell's saying, you don't want to have injuries or anything that prohibits you from having success in the future.
I think at Bueno we're blessed because we have enough athletes that there's always going to be some guys on the bench that just thirsty for their chance to get an opportunity to play.
Oh, sure.
So, and they're good players. So it's not going to be a huge drop off to sit a starter down. And also, you're trying to balance the big picture of, okay, yes, we may have a group of seniors, but these seniors are going to be gone next year. Let's look at some of our younger players, juniors and sophomores, and get them some experience. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Welker. And Julian is a great example of this because he's somebody that as a junior last year didn't get much playing time, but he got some. And there were times where it seemed like people would maybe wonder, why is they have this guy and this guy, why is this kid getting time? Well, when you look at the big picture, like next year he's going to be needed and going to need to be responsible for carrying some weight on this team. So you don't want them to come into their senior season with, inexperienced in the season. So you have to buy time for your younger players. Some of that's done in those tournaments that we talk about. And then when you're up big, those are your opportunities to give other guys opportunities to play. It was just a unique situation that night because a kid is close to a record, and you're wondering about. If it wasn't for the record, he probably wouldn't have played much in the third quarter. Yeah. So yeah, but it is a balance, I think. But it's easier when you have talent on your bench and in your rotation that are just itching to play. So, you have that in the back of your mind to say, let me injury prevent, play injury prevention for some of these guys, and also get some of these other guys some playing experience too. So
big varsity entry, see it all the time. All right, so let's go ahead and round out some Bueno stats.
We got a lot of stuff to get
Jamin Booker in one of these games had 18 points and 8 rebounds. Jesus Pacheco went 8, 7, and 5. I believe that was against either Rincon or Rio Rico. Yeah.
Rio Rico, he had 16. So
didn't get the stats in time, Coach. That's on you. No, I'm kidding.
I just saw that Max Preps uploaded them this morning. So
there we go. Oh man. All right, so now I have to wait till the morning.
There's one team in here. I swear I'm calling their athletic director.
Well, before we get to the Holiday Classic, let's go ahead and jump over some teams that weren't in the Holiday Classic. Of course, ALA of Sierra Vista. ALA of Sierra Vista, obviously Canyon Athletic were in the Benton Holiday Classic. They are currently 5-2 on the season, 2-0 last week, and they play Ajo coming up on the 18th in DVCP on the 19th. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is C.J. Williams had 59 points. in one of these games. Also 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 3 blocks. He also had 40 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 9 steals, almost the old rare quadruple double in one of those games as well. So CJ Williams, of course, ALA standout superstar, doing big things for that school in Sierra Vista.
Really quick, to test coaches, man, how many quadruple doubles have there been in NBA history? Do you know the answer?
1?
3.
Oh, it's right. I just remember the one in modern day. I think
No, Akeem had 1. Akeem had 2. David Robinson had 1.
But I don't want to get lost just in the CJ sauce because that's going to happen a lot. I wanted to talk about freshman Porter Jones in one of these games. Had 30 points, 4 rebounds in the game that CJ had 40. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and also 2 steals. So freshman Porter Jones getting it done.
Wow.
And rounding up the stats, we're going to have Sam Daines, who had averaged 11 rebounds per game, and also Owen Onstead averaging 10 rebounds a game. So ALA Sierra Vista, they got off to a little bit of a rocky start, rattled off 5 straight.
We didn't get to the Buena Lady Colts while we were on Buena, but
go ahead.
No. ALA, I absolutely nothing. They're still 0-2 as they were last week, 0-0. They don't even have a next scheduled game on the internet, so I don't know anything about ALA girls.
This is the girls.
No, ALA girls.
Go to AZ Preps, and they'll have at least something. They'll have their region schedule.
All right, I'm just saying. Unfortunately, I have nothing on the ALA girls. If you do have a program, again, you can always reach out to us.
That's actually Jeremy Rhodes, or you got Jeremy Rhodes' number. He's the head coach
of ALA girls.
Yeah. Oh. Shout out as well, Coach Williams for ALA. Last night they played a game. He had the stats uploaded right away. Super stoked on that.
But again, Wayne Lady Colts, we were there. They only had 1 game last week. They're 2-2 on the season. They did lose to Rio Rico 63-50. No stats on the game. They are now on holiday break. They're playing January 8th. But right now, season leader Isis Perez, 13-10, 13 points, 10 rebounds. That's what I had on the Wayne Lady Colts. I just wanted to cover them while we were still on Buena. That was all.
Absolutely. So we'll go over to the Marine Academy boys team. Unfortunately, winless on the season, 0-3. They have no stats on them. They are going to be playing. Well, last night they played Arizona Cultural Academy. No box score uploaded for that one. They got AWCP at home tonight. So we'll see how they can right the ship on that one. Do you have Lady Eagles?
0-2 on the season. They played Arizona Cultural Academy last night. Nothing on that one. They do play Thursday at A+ Charter School, but nothing online about the Marine Academy Lady Eagles.
We'll go over to another team that wasn't in the Holiday Classic. San Simone, 3-7 currently, just fielding a varsity roster for the first time in a couple years. I actually don't know how long it's been. They were 1-1 last week. Their loss did come to a Wilcox Cowboys team that's very good. They lost 56-23. They will be at Duncan tonight. Other than that, no stats on the Longhorns from San Simone.
Now thank you, San Simone. I do have stats on them.
Oh, well, the girls team.
The girls team. They're 5-6 on the year, 1-2 in their region. They did lose to St. David 49-10, but they beat Valley Union 47-37. They're playing tonight against Duncan. Now in that Valley Union game, check. We have Holly Keel, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. We have a freshman, Riley Sloan, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 10 blocks.
Wow.
So I don't know
against
who Riley
Valley Union.
Against Valley Union. I don't know who Riley Sloan is, but 10 blocks. So congratulations, Riley Sloan. We'll be seeing a lot more of you.
All right. So shout out Lexi Boss and the Valley Union Blue Devils. Riley Sloan. How about San Simone though? Come on now.
Yeah, they're not scrubbing it up right now. They are a formidable team.
And I think that will be, the Wilcox Cowboys, our last, in Cowgirls, the last team that wasn't in the Benson Holiday Classic. Currently, the Cowboys sitting at 6-4, and remember, they're coming off that huge win against Bisbee. They went 1-1 last week. They are led by Caden Hooper, 16-6 on his split, 16.6 rebounds. Jerry Reyes, 6.7, 2 and a third assists a game and 2 steals per game. And I do want to give a mention to J.D. Wetton, with his 3.1 steals per game, leads the team, also averages 7 points. And Wilcox on holiday break.
Wilcox, I don't know what's going on with girls basketball in Cochise County, but it is wilding out right now. The Wilcox Cowgirls were 8-1. They're 1-0 in their region. They beat Bisbee 50-26. They beat Empire 70-14. They beat Sanford 63-41. They are playing. They're on holiday break. They will be playing at Benson. But as far as season, excuse me, which game? Oh, we did the Safford game. So Maddie Bennett 21 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 steals, 2 blocks.
All Cochise.
Gabriella Gallez, 14.7 rebounds. The Wilcox Cowgirls are 8-1, and they are rolling. It is wild times right now in girls basketball.
We got a couple in two, or a few in 2A actually, and we actually got to see Kaylee Taylor, who I'm sure we're going to talk about here coming up for the Benson Lady Bobcats. But Wilcox and Tombstone, I would say just right there, the top 3 teams in 2A basketball right now. We'll have to see how they fare, but let's go ahead and jump into that.
Wilcox is the one we never talk about, and all of a sudden the Wilcox Cowgirls are out of the blue. They're like, "Oh no, where's your
we talked about the Wilcox Cowgirls.
I mean, no, Tombstone and Douglas get all the love.
Oh, yeah.
And but now Wilcox is like, "No, you're gonna look at me."
Douglas Lady Bulldogs, rightfully so. We're going to jump into them. Let's just do it right now.
You want to do the ladies?
Let's do the Lady Bulldogs. Francie Rubio, Scarlett Louise, Carolina Anguiano. Go ahead, sorry.
This is the bit. All right.
They didn't even have Dana Pena at the tournament.
They deserve this. Are you ready? The Douglas Bulldogs are 9-1. They're 0-0 in their region. Last week, these are all wins. San Miguel 66-20, Tombstone 59-28, Florence 61-23, Valley Union 56-24, Tombstone 54-38, Benson 66-34. Those are all wins last week. Tonight they're at Costa
Benson
Grande.
was a championship game too.
Benson was a championship game, 66-34. Let's talk about the Benson game. Scarlett Ruiz, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Yolissa Quijada, 17 points. Evelyn Gonzalez, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 4 blocks. The Douglas Lady Bulldogs could probably hang with Buena Boys right now.
Well, we do say all the time.
They're really good.
I don't know how.
That sounds good. That's a lot of big wins there.
I don't know how you
It's never even
measure
close. It's never even
boys
close.
versus girls, but we always go back and forth debating Benson or Buena Boys or Douglas girls. Who's got the better team? You didn't even mention Francie Rubio.
I just went over the Benson game when the championship game.
I mean, Francie Rubio and Scarlett Ruiz, a 1-2 punch that's there to be dealt with. But again, I think the unsung hero of that team is Carolina Anguiano. And I say this because it was 13-11 in that championship game because she had 2 fouls and had to sit down in the first quarter. She came back in, committed no fouls, and that's when we got the 30-plus point victory.
Yeah,
over a very good
We're
Benson
good.
team.
We're not that good.
The Douglas girls are a show.
Those are dominant wins.
They are a show.
And I was talking to somebody about this at the Bisbee game, and I was just sitting there like, I haven't seen personally a ladies team where every one of them can bring the ball up. Every one of them can handle, dribble through
breaking
people.
presses. Like if you press Douglas, you're going to lose.
You're going to lose.
Like,
So it's an easy open bucket underneath the rim. And again, they didn't even have Dana Pena in that tournament. So
what gets me is the 2 big wins against Tombstone, which I respect. Tombstone. Like,
when we were doing our Holiday Classic coverage, he had Thursday, and Douglas Tombstone was on there, and we were like, that one right there. It's like, we're going to start the coverage with that game
the whole
right
reason
there.
we went up there.
Yeah, to watch Douglas and Tombstone play each other. And yeah, they gave Tombstone the business a couple times. The Tombstone's really good.
Right.
And I think in that game, Rachel Thursby, I'm pretty sure, had 20 points in the first one, or was very, very close to it. Now, Tombstone only had, 27 points or whatever you said?
28.
28 points. She was close to it. So Rachel Thursby getting hers. Rachel Thursby, a player to watch out for, crossed 1,000 points.
Yep.
And we'll get to her in a minute. But let's talk about the Douglas boys team.
Let's go, Diego.
Because the Douglas team got second, the boys, second to Desert Christian. Came down to a final 3-pointer there by Diego Lopez. Banked it off, almost got it in, but that was a wild and crazy game when we think about it. Douglas was up 13 at one point. Desert Christian comes storming back. They get their lead up to 15 points, I believe it was, maybe 17. And then somehow out of the blue, Douglas comes back. Split 3-point shooting does for you. Diego Lopez started to heat up from 3-pointer.
Ryan Felix had himself a tournament too.
Ryan Felix had a tournament, actually fouled out in that championship game, and I'm really steadfast that because it was in the third quarter, if they had him in the second half, they would have pulled that one away. Not to take any thing away from Tyson Dobbins from Desert Christian, who in that championship game had 48 points.
We don't care about Desert Christian around here.
Let's talk about the Douglas Bulldogs. Again, second in the Holiday Classic. They're 4-4. They went 3-1 over the weekend. Of course, they lost in the championship game. Diego Lopez leading the team right now with 29.3 points per game. He also leads the team with 5.7 rebounds per game. He also leads the team with 2.9 steals per game. Here's one that I didn't know. Elmer Maturena is actually their second leading scorer with 16.3 points per game.
Wow.
Very quiet 16.3 points per game.
I got to do a Douglas game. Yeah, I know that kid.
Ryan Felix averages 13.7 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists rather, and 2 blocks per game. So Douglas set up for success. That was a Very tough championship game, but after all, I mean, Douglas proved they were at least the second best.
They won some cool FM love on that one. We started figuring out how to get Douglas. We're like, wait a minute, maybe we need to get down to Douglas and do some more Douglas games. They won some love in that tournament, I'll tell you.
This is the one thing that I like more about 2A and 1A, and you need to take this to the AIA, Coach Dennis Baker, is the girls varsity and boys varsity play the same field house in the same gymnasium. I think that would help us a lot with our Buena and Douglas coverage if that was the case as well.
Well, and not only that, but the girls' games build up. Like that gym last night started with the girls' game, and it starts building this thing in the gym where by the time the boys' game starts, it is craziness. Yeah. And so like having the girls' game first like helps get the fans really into what's going on.
That's what it was like in Kansas City too. We'd always go like get there at halftime of the girls' game, and it'd be varsity and the boys' game. So I don't know.
And kudos to St. David and Bisbee last night. Y'all fans brought it. We're having trouble hearing each other. I'm like, what? Like, I'm yelling
Those
out
gyms
next
are
to
great.
me.
We're looking at you, Buena, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get to a point where we're hosting tournaments and stuff like that too. I do like the idea of boys and girls. It's kind of logistically tough to do on a regular season game schedule because there's freshman teams, JV teams. You'd be there all night with 6 games of basketball.
So my solution was you have the varsities go off in one place, then you play just switch the girls and bring the freshmen and the JVs over there. And I understand in 1A, 2A there are no freshman teams.
Right. So and then with the tournament, usually it's only varsity only, so you could definitely do that more. I think you can mix your boys and girls in a tournament.
You guys have 2 gyms at Buena? I see 2.
Right. Or you could just do alternate, have a girls game.
They do
and
have
the
a
boys
gym
game.
Exactly.
That's right. I used to go shoot there when my daughter was playing.
If Buena's playing Cienega or somebody, then it could be the boys game first or the girls game first, then boys game, and then the next, do girls game and boys game. So I like that idea.
I like that idea too, just for our coverage.
And it gets everybody to come out and support each other and stuff. We rarely get a chance to,
because you always
as a basketball team,
crowd, think about it.
And coaches, it's hard for us to show show support for our girls program because every time we play, they play, and we're opposite each other. So stuff like that would give us the opportunity to kind of show up for each other.
And the loudest crowds are the teammates. Like, so for instance, Buena baseball, that one game I went over, the softball was still going. They went over there. I still have it on my phone. Craziest atmosphere they made.
Well, last night the St. David girls were going nuts for the St. David boys team. Like they were sitting right next to us. They were loud.
Oh, it was great. We just love that atmosphere. And I think now that I think about it, you're absolutely right. You're splitting up varsity support because people have to travel to the girls or the boys and vice versa.
Right. But if you had situations where it's a girls game first, then boys game, then some of those fans stay over, or some of those boys game fans come early, and you get more of the community support too. So that's what I would be trying to work on with our athletic director and stuff, trying to do something for this coming up season. We kind of started trying to work on that sooner and have something like that similar to that for this year, but it's also hard for us to get opponents that are 5A, 6A to come here. The teams that are already here, Cochise County, are the smaller schools, 2A, 3A, 4A. But, it's a little bit more of a reach to get the teams for us to play. Because if not, it just looks like, Buena had this tournament and they brought all these smaller schools here so they could beat everybody.
Beat them up, Yeah,
and it's like, we don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So if we can find something, if we can get enough large schools, we want to have everybody. We can have a small school bracket and a large school bracket. Boys and girls it would be the dream. I think Buena facilities as good as anybody's facilities.
Oh yeah.
And it could be a big draw for us.
Huge gymnasium as well. I think. Well, you think about it. Rio Rico, Rincon, Nogales, those teams that are about Douglas distance away, they probably get them out there.
I think so. So
Nogales is a baseball school, but I mean, it's still 5A.
They still have a basketball team.
Right.
Yeah.
We went down there a couple years ago. It's one of those things. Is like you look at the final box score, the team loses by 10 or 12. Never ever, especially in high school sports, tells the story of how close the game is throughout. And it's just towards the end, the better team usually pulls away.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
All right, that's going to take us. I want to get over to the Tombstone girls. I don't even want to cover a team. You tell me how the Tombstone girls did. Let's talk about Rachel Thursby, Briella Schuler in the game.
Let's see here. Tombstone girls 9-3 on the year, 3-0 in their region. That 9-3 though, that's an asterisk because 2 of those losses were to Douglas Bulldogs, the Lady Bulldogs. So,
So Douglas did come out and prove who the class of Cochise County
yes,
was.
so they played Morenci. They beat Morenci 40-31. They are playing tonight at home against Valley Union. I have no stats from the tournament, unfortunately, Lady Yellow Jackets. But Rachel Thursby is averaging 18.
Come on, Coach Valenzuela.
Come on, Coach Valenzuela. Rachel Thursby, he did reach out to thank us for everything we do when I was up there.
I love Coach Valenzuela.
But Rachel Thursby is averaging 18, 3 assists, 3 steals. Ed Jerica.
Spencer.
Ed Jerica Spencer is averaging 5 boards a game right now. I got no stats on the Lady Yellow Jackets, but we know how good they are. They're going to play Valley Union tonight. We're going to get to see them again.
Freshman. They have a freshman that's just, I can't remember her name at all, but she was really impressive in the tournament as well. Second leading scorer in the tournament. Lady Yellow Jackets. Katie McDonald in the chat says.
Espy's no, she's a junior.
No.
Damaris Alvarez.
Yes, Damaris Alvarez. That's exactly what it was. Freshman getting in the action for the Tombstone
yeah.
Jackets.
Yeah, I've seen her. She's a real good player.
No, I got to do Tombstone boys tonight.
Thursday.
Yeah, Rachel
I'm going to
Thursby's
do the
fun.
Tombstone girls tonight.
Yes.
Maybe.
You talk about her going over 1,000.
Yeah.
You mentioned that yet?
So
yeah.
And I got to do the Douglas versus Tombstone game. Douglas, again, they're just a buzzsaw in basketball. If they don't end up in the state finals at least, I'm going to be extremely surprised. Now, that didn't happen last year. They had the same team, but they're a year older, they're a year wiser, blah, 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 all that stuff. So we'll have to see. But Rachel Thursby of the Tombstone Yellow Jackets was holding her own like you wouldn't believe. I think she almost got 20 points, aside from the freshman getting a couple threes at the end, so it might have been 18 points. But Rachel Thursby against the best female basketball team ever assembled in the history of mankind put up 18 points in the game I got to broadcast. So congratulations on that.
Is that the game that she went over 1,000?
No, she went over 1,000 before that. Actually, Coach Valenzuela. And please, everyone, give us the trinkets of knowledge. Like, I would have never known that Sebastian scored 1,000 points last night if it wasn't for Coach Adrian Borquez of the Bisbee Pumas, who also let me know that the next win for Courtney Borquez is their 100th at Bisbee. So
thank you. We love having this information.
love stories. Everyone loves stories. But let's get over to the Tombstone boys, who came out of the gates hot at 3-0. Since then, on a 9-game losing streak, but they are at home against Valley Union. And no disrespect to Valley Union, but the team's just not what it was last year. A couple of years ago, they lost Landon Glenn. Dylan Mitchell's not playing. The box scores aren't kind to Valley Union, but hey, there's always a game that you can turn it around on. So I think it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a competitive game. That's why I put it on the schedule.
Go see if Tombstone gets their season back on track, or the Valley Union Blue Devils get off the schneid. Live with Dave Davies.
Yeah. So it's going to be a competitive game.
So we're going to get over now. We already covered Douglas. Let's get over to the St. David Tigers.
You said we're not doing Valley Union? No, never mind.
Okay, let's get over to the Valley Union Blue Devils. Why not? For the boys, I'm going to make this quick. They are currently 0-5, as I said. They do have Tombstone and Patagonia tonight. Now, Tombstone, again, 9-game losing streak. That could be a get-right game for the Valley Union Blue Devils. However, I have seen Tombstone play. They have the talent. It's just there. They're just not gelling as a team right now. But Patagonia is definitely going to be a win for Valley Union. Maybe. I'm sorry.
The Valley Union girls, there is a high point. They're 2-5 on the year, 0-1 in their region. They did not win a game in the tournament. They lost to San Simone, Benson, and Douglas.
That's surprising.
Yeah, they're at Tombstone tonight. Valley Union girls, you know who you're playing tonight. You get that win. That's a big one. Lexi Boss, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. Kylie Olbreth, 7 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists a game right now.
Nice.
So
Did you say Lexi Boss?
Well, yeah. She's averaging 18-4.
Sorry, I had it right when you said that. It was in my ear.
Yeah, 18-4. Yeah. So that's what I got at Valley Union and St. David. As far as the girls go, they are starting to turn this thing around. We knew they would. It's a very sophomore-heavy team. 5-5 on the year, 2-0 in their region. We got some big wins here. They beat San Simone 49-10. They beat Patagonia 75-11. And they beat Bisbee 53-36. No stats on the girls. They're on holiday. We'll see you in January.
Well, I was there for that Bisbee game, 53-36. It was tied going into halftime. And then
Gracie
Crockett took over.
That was last night.
And that's one thing I was talking about, I think, that the two big scorers, Emmeline Hawkins and Emma Hart, didn't have their best shooting performance.
No, that's why I didn't put stats. I wanted to ask you about it. You were there.
And Gracie Crockett comes in. She had to have over 20 points in that ball game, and she just does it so quietly. There's always, like last year was Mela Trejo and Anissa Hawkins, but if Mela wasn't on or Anissa wasn't on, all of a sudden Gracie Crockett would have 20 points in a game, and she gets the rebound, she gets the steal. She's like the ultimate Swiss Army knife for the St. David Lady Tigers.
Easily the best Crockett that's ever played in Cochise
Oh,
County.
absolutely. I can't even, no other Crockett comes to mind, to be honest with you. I only know of one Crockett that is a state ring. That's all I'm saying. Dalton Crockett does have one in baseball. We know
He
that.
actually just got his priesthood. He's going to
Really?
be joining the clergy.
Congratulations to Dalton Crockett on that.
Yeah, I didn't know that about him.
I did talk to head coach Matt Brogan for the St. David Tigers, and he said that early on they were scheduling, like Coach was saying, teams, and unfortunately there were PowerPoint teams because it was regular season, not tournaments, but they were scheduling teams above them, 3A, 4A, all that stuff, because that's how good the St. David Tigers
you test yourself,
And so now that they're coming back to competition that's towards themselves, we're starting to see the real St. David Tiger team come out. And that was a good game. That was an incredible second half of the St. David Lady Tigers against the Bisbee Pumas. Like you said, in a gym that was pretty rowdy.
Yeah, that was pretty loud last night.
Let's go over to the St. David boys. St. David boys actually finished third in the Benson Holiday Classic. They went they're 4-3 on the season, 3-3 last week. And again, we have a lot of games because of the tournament games. They did lose last night to the Bisbee Pumas in what was an incredible game, back and forth all the way. And then we got to see the single greatest basketball player I've ever seen in my entire life because of Sebastian Lopez, who we'll get to in a minute. But the St. David boys, coming out that game, it was close. And again, it was just like the girls, except they didn't have a Gracie Crockett to fill in. And because Gannon Crawford didn't have his best game, Braden Posey didn't have his best game, so they were kind of searching. Keston Richardson seemed to be getting it going on the inside, but they were struggling to get the ball inside to him.
Keston, reach out to me. I want to work with you, brother. He's a big man, but he's still young. He's a sophomore, so he's not asserting himself. And it's like you need to get that body in there and start banging on people. It's like he has the talent. He just doesn't play like the big that he is. And I'm like, because he's so young. He's young.
It's a lost art.
It's like, he's banging on people. But yeah, Keston, baby, we're going to get you there. We're going to get you there, Keston. I swear we are.
So it was a great game and a great showing from the St. David Tigers. Actually, we have to get, after this, I'm going to have to try to remember all the recognitions. They had an all-tournament team, and we had a few Cochise County players in that one. Let's get over to the...
Pretty sure Rachel Thursby won the three-point contest.
She did. Let's get over to the Bisbee Pumas, and we'll leave the namesake of the... Well, let's just go over to the Benson Tigers, because the boys, or the Benson Bobcats, the boys didn't really have the best tournament, which is a little surprising, because they were in every single game. They had single-digit losses in every game, so they were there. They went 2-7. They went 1-6 last week. They do have Tinker Verde and Globe coming up. Globe should be a victory.
Yeah, Globe, yeah.
Tinker Verde is going to be tough. We know Tinker Verde, they're 3A school in baseball, 4A.
Yeah, I saw Globe in the tournament.
They got size. So Tinker Verde has size. That's going to be a tough one. But the Benson Bobcats, what was depressing about that is Keelan Payne's down for the weekend, visiting in Benson, and he grew 2 inches, and he's throwing alley-oops to himself, and I'm like, man, what could have been for the Bobcats? But they're there. They just need to find their outlet.
He was so happy to see us, too.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, hey.
So they have Dominic Villa. Dominic Villa is a hell of a point guard, one of the best we have in Cochise County, and it's just outside. Who can hit these big shots when they need them? And because that was Dalton Crockett last year. Keelan Payne was a force. If they needed a bucket, it was Dalton Crockett. So we're gonna have to see who steps up for the Benson Bobcats.
Yeah, it's like a rebuilding year for the Bobcats. This is my bone to pick of the week. Benson Lady Bobcats. I'm gonna need you. I'm calling your athletic director as soon as I get done with here. I need stats, and here's why I need stats. Let's go to the last week. They beat the Gregory School 66-12. They beat Valley Union 57-24. They beat Flores 55-28. They beat Globe 63-40. They beat Bisbee 53-50. They beat Flores 49-35. They had one loss last week. Who do you think it was? Douglas.
I broadcast that game.
I need stats on these kids. They're at Tanque Verde tonight. I mean, look at all these wins. They're at Tanque Verde tonight. Thursday, they're at Phoenix Christian. All I know is Kaylee Taylor, Aubrey Moon, Jadalyn De La Cruz. I need stats on these girls. God, come on, coach.
Actually, Kaylee Taylor's dad is now the new head coach for the Benson Bobcats. He was assistant coach last year. So
look at all these wins. Look at these huge wins. And I don't
come on, Coach Taylor.
I don't know anything about your team.
Amy.
Look at all these wins.
I didn't notice Amy. Her last name is Taylor. I actually talked to her about this at the tournament. The one that sings the national anthem always helps us out with the youth sports. That's Kaylee Taylor's mother.
Oh, well,
somebody.
Come on, man.
Kaylee Taylor won MVP of the Benson Holiday Classic. So.
I'm looking at all these. I'm like, what the heck? And I got nothing.
All I can say is, and I did talk about this, watching Kaylee Taylor play last year, I thought she was the best female basketball player in Cochise County, aside from Nissa Hawkins last year. This year, she stepped her game up. I don't know how it is. Every time she has the ball in an open look, which is few and far between in the second half, the ball goes in. Kind of like a Julian Durant type moment here for Kaylee Taylor.
We had Benson games on the schedule in January. We're going to try to make sure we're out there for the girls' games as well. If y'all, especially y'all, keep doing this. Matter of fact, for all of y'all, 218s, we're going to try to be out there for the girls' games as well.
All right, I think that takes us. There's so many teams to cover now with San Simone coming in. And
all I got left is Bisbee.
Okay, good. All I got left is Bisbee too, and I'll start off. Actually, you start off with the girls there, Dave.
4-6 on the year, 1-2 in their region. They lost to Tombstone last Monday.
Who doesn't? Besides Douglas.
They lost to Benson in a close one, 53-50. These are all the tournament games. Lost to St. David. They're Thursday. They're at Desert Christian. I don't know if the girls team's any good for Desert Christian or not. But Alyssa Lopez averaging 19 points a game this year. Isabella Solis averaging 10 rebounds a game. So again, they're well coached. They're right there in all these games. They're just right there. They're right there. Like they lost to 9. Oh, they lost to Tombstone by 9. They lost to Benson by 3. So like they're right there in all these games. And at least in the St. David game, they were tied at halftime, and then St. David ran away.
Yeah, St. David had a press, and I think it comes to youth and inexperience for the Bisbee Pumas when it comes to beating that press. They did a great job getting out of it. Then they'd be in half court, and because they had expend so many players in the backcourt to beat the press, they don't know where anyone is. They pick up the dribble, and I think it was I can't remember. Teresa was in the chat, and she was saying they need to calm down. And I was like, yeah, you're not wrong.
Playing too fast, yep.
So let's get over to the Bisbee Pumas. Again, their last loss, aside from the tournament, their last PowerPoint loss was to the Wilcox Cowboys. Since then, been playing very well. They're 8-7 on the season, 3-4 last week. They do have Desert Christian coming up, and we're going to talk. Last week, actually, what I do is I crunch the numbers for the stats that are in there. So I got the weekly performance, and Sebastian Lopez, who averages 19 on the season, averaged 21.7 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists last week. The Hunter Wright, had 15.5 points and 2 assists, and he is really coming on.
Yeah.
Hit a big half-court three-pointer
in
the first quarter. Nothing but net, too.
I go rewatch all of our games. I didn't get there till like 2 minutes into the second quarter last night. I had to work. And then right as I walk in the gym, he's like, oh, you just missed a shot.
Speaking of someone coming into his own, Luis Ramirez, number 30, 10.5 points last week. So Bisbee starting to find who they are as a basketball team.
Again, if you watch the way Bisbee plays, Lopez is cutting the basket, drawing these double teams. Luis Ramirez getting a lot of wide open threes. Hunter's getting a lot of wide open threes. Just got to make them, boys. And what did we say last night? Free throws. What, they missed 30 of them last night?
Something like that.
So y'all missed 30 free throws last night? I told Lopez that he's going to shoot 100 a day. I messaged him last night. I gave him a couple drills. The old Larry Bird drill, 3 feet in front of the basket, only with your right hand. Get that alignment right. You know what I mean? I was messaging Lopez. I'm like, here's how we get these free throws right. Now, Coach, this is a Dave thing. So I see a lot of people shooting with free throws with both feet directly on the line. You move your left foot back 2 inches so you're shooting down a line instead of shooting across your body. Like, why do these kids have both feet down on the line instead of the left foot back where you're shooting down a line?
Or do you disagree with that?
No, I agree with what you're saying. I think players get used to what once the player has got his rhythm and got his rotation or his system of what he does, you don't want to mess with it much. But I agree with you because every year I tell my team we have a focus and effort drill that we do where it involves running and then just putting all your focus into something for a minute, running for a minute, and then it could be just staring at a clock for a whole minute and watching that clock go down. Well, one of the things that we do is we go to the free throw line, and the nail, you've heard of the nail. The nail is a literal nail that's in the middle of the free throw line that's directly to the middle of the rim. And if you go to the nail, technically what you should do is you want your elbow to be in line with the nail,
yes,
which would be the middle. So you're right, you would step over instead of being directly in the middle.
Yeah.
So, if the rim's here and you're shooting here as a right-handed player, you're already starting off a little bit to the right.
Yeah, you're shooting across, yeah.
Right? So you'd want to step over a bit so that it's right in the middle. And I talk about that, but guys still do whatever they want. Some people listen to that and they apply it, and I'd say, put your lead foot right there on the nail, and you're lined up, and it's going to go straight no matter what. So, yeah, I agree with you.
When you watch so many missed free throws, it's a muscle memory thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I can literally get off the couch and shoot 80% right now. You know what I mean? Because it's just all muscle memory because I've done it
But there's a lot of game slippage was what we call it. Like, yeah, you could get out of bed and probably hit 8 out of 10 free throws, but in a game, would you hit
there's
8
a
out
little,
of 10?
yeah. All right,
You know,
all right,
a lot of
all
these
right.
guys, we can say, hey, let's work
Bisbee,
on
he's letting you off the hook
we
right
work
now.
on free throws on, hey, we shot 50% from the free throw line, so we're taking an hour today to work on free throws. And guess what? In practice, they're going to make them all. They're making them all.
Don't let my boys off the hook.
Well, okay.
You're letting my boys off the hook.
That was a crazy atmosphere. Go back and watch it. Like, right as they shoot, you don't really have.
There was no screaming. It was crazy. It was like a Bieber concert.
We do have some comments. Katie McDonald, Tombstone, or St. David fan rather, says they didn't call crap to the refs. And I did hear no fan was super happy with the officiating last night. We're not going to get into it. I didn't think it was that bad.
I was like, Katie, don't get me started.
It's one of those
I'll
things
start doing
like
the thing.
they let so much physicality go that towards the end when they start calling ticky-tack, it's kind of like, what are we doing here? But it happens.
And in the third quarter, it was leaning a lot towards one direction. I said that during the game, St. David had some grapes last night. They had some grapes.
You said that. I'll give you a lot of props. Usually you're looking for the Bisbee narrative, but you call it like you see it on that one. Ryan Russell in the chat says, get it together, Tombstone. They're trying, Ryan. Katie McDonald's back said, woohoo, go Tigers. Boys JV won last night. They sure did. She said, Bisbee's too good. I didn't know they were a 2A school. And she said we had to keep reminding Tot that it wasn't football. I thought it was Chase Pacheco. Who knows?
It says Chase on the roster.
It's probably Tot for JV.
That
is the thing about St. David. Like, they transform. So when we broadcast St. David a few years ago, we're going to talk about this team till the cows come home. Ryan Gooden, Coy, Keaton Richardson, all the boys, and they ball wouldn't touch the ground.
The ball didn't touch the ground. They were watching Hoosiers. It was a crazy thing.
They were a great basketball team. Now St. David's and they were good at football then too. Ryan Gooding might be the best quarterback Cochise County's ever had. Not my words. I've only been broadcasting for 3 years, but people have said that, so I feel good to say that out loud.
Okay.
But now it's like you see a bunch of football players out there bullying people. I love to watch it. It's my favorite style of basketball.
Luke Havor and who's number
Cedar
2?
Haney.
Who's number 2?
Cedar Haney. Chase Pacheco was in there.
Oh my good lord.
Cooper Merrill. Not Cedar Haney. I'm sorry.
If that's a football player playing basketball, if I've ever seen one.
I know. I'd love to watch it, but that's going to go ahead and do it.
You know, basketball players hate those football players when they come on the floor.
Yeah,
we hate playing those guys.
We did say we'd talk a little bit about
Yes.
Sebastian Lopez. We did interview him after the game. We didn't talk to him about his 1,000 points, but he was Ed Doherty Award nominee. Again, we talk about
so was Landon Ward. Let's not forget Landon Ward.
No, Landon Ward for the Wilcox Cowboys at all.
He was nominated.
And I thought about that last night, but then we have Sebastian Lopez, 1,000 points in basketball. Landon, Ed Doherty in football. He's probably already got the steals record in Arizona.
Yeah.
In baseball, the kid can do it all. That's why he gets so much love. But that play, that behind the back play, I showed that to Barbie. She's like, her eyes went wide open. Coach, if you haven't seen it, it's a minute 45 or an hour 45, and he's going out of bounds, and he just grabs the ball, and behind the back, a perfect pass to Luis.
50 feet, dead onto
And they were trying to run up the clock, but at that point, I was like, put it in, Luis. He deserves that assist, and he did. Shout out Luis.
And then what he do? He stole the next inbounds, and then missed a layup, followed it up. Sebastian Lopez, he had a 30-second little stretch last night where you're like, wow, that's it. This kid. We want to interview other people for Bisbee when they win, but it's. If you saw, you wouldn't.
Speaking of interviewing Sebastian Lopez, stay tuned for our show next Tuesday. You have to message him, by the way. Sebastian Lopez will be here because it's Christmas break. And we can't get, because of the stupid time that we go live, which is all AIA power rankings, the reason we do it, because of the stupid, we can't get the kids on, so thank you again, Coach Baker, for bailing us out here.
Coach, you're off the hook next week for Christmas. Go spend Christmas with the family.
Coach could be here too. What are we talking about?
Oh, it's good. Never mind. Go be here too.
Whatever.
Coach is going to be here too. We're all going to be here. It's going to be
I don't know. You just sprung this on me. I don't know what's going on.
But anyway, folks, that's going to do it for our coverage of high school basketball. Again, we got some great teams. We didn't know what we were going to get into coming into the season. We knew Buena was going to be a powerhouse in boys basketball just from the rosters that they returned. But now we're seeing the Douglas boys come up. The Douglas Lady Bulldogs, if we had a power rankings, it'd be Buena and Lady Bulldogs there.
I would give it to them. They'd be one. They would be one for sure.
Of course, Tombstone still, I think, still.
Well, when you watch it, doesn't look like they have anything to work on. It looks like it looks like a perfected product. Where you're like, they're good. Like there's always room for improvement. Yeah. But when you watch Douglas Lady Bulldogs, you're like, we're done. Like we're done. I'll see you in the finals.
I love it. It's one thing to win games, and it's another thing to be that dominant and win games. And when you're that dominant early, that's a good sign for how you're going to be.
Yeah, exactly. What are you going to look like in January?
Right.
All tournament teams. I'm sorry, I forgot that. Speaking of the dominance of the Lady Bulldogs, Francia Rubio, they had 6 each. Francia Rubio, Scarlett Ruiz from the Douglas Lady Bulldogs were in the all-tournament team. Alyssa Lopez from the Bisbee Pumas was in the all-tournament team. Rachel Thursby, of course, from the Tombstone Yellow Jackets was in the all-tournament team. They didn't say Kaylee Taylor was in there, but she was MVP, so I assume she's part of the all-tournament team as well. MVP for the boys was won by someone from Bobby Kidd.
Oh, that kid.
Yeah,
Oh, my
I can
God.
imagine.
What's his name?
Oh, there was some kid number
remember.
24 for
Yeah,
Bobby
big
Kidd.
afro.
Yeah, he had long hair.
Yeah,
And yeah, so I was sitting next to him, I'm like, who's your best player? They're like, number 24. And 30-footer, 30-footer, 30-footer. You're like, oh, my God.
I know who he is. I don't know his name, but I've seen him.
Oh,
back
man,
there.
I just took the roster out of my
Katie
head.
McDonald says, yes, Sebastian is a senior. And Synergy HomeCare of Sierra Vista in our chat says, it was amazing. I'll shout out his Barbie night running. I know she's always there for us.
So, I mean, 3 years later, Lopez never stopped surprising us. We were like, my God.
I know,
kid.
it's crazy. But
Like,
then,
that
okay,
kid is something
and for
else.
the boys, of course, Sebastian Lopez was part of the all-tournament team. Diego Lopez was a part of the all-tournament team.
Let's go, Diego.
Dominic Villa from the Benson Bobcats was also a part of the all-tournament team. And I think that was it for Cochise County. Maybe Gannon Carafa made it. I can't remember. I think Carafa might have made it too. But either which way.
I'm sure Desert Christian had.
Yeah, I was going to say, they must have had.
Tyson Dobbins from Desert Christian, who put up 48 points in the finals against Douglas, was in there, yes.
Yeah.
And I would thought Samuel Alday was going to be the big player because he's 6'9", 6'10" out there. And
But
he's a
it
sophomore.
was only his first year playing basketball.
It's a sophomore. It's kind of like
he's not a basketball player yet.
It's like you said with Keston Richardson, where he's just trying to find his footing.
He's big. He doesn't have the hands yet. He doesn't have the footwork. You know, he's not
got a
there.
good
It was
shot.
his first
I mean,
year
it's
playing
easy when
basketball.
you're looking down at the basket, but he's got a good shot.
Yeah, I was talking to Coach about it. It's his first year playing, so he's not there yet.
Gotcha.
So there we go. That's going to do it. And don't forget, folks. The last recognitions from football are coming in, and we will get those all hopefully by the
It'll
next
be baseball
show.
season by the time.
I'm telling you. And if we don't get them next week, we're just going to put the CAA on there and do the All-State teams for 2A. And 4A and 5A. I think 6A just got their in. Anyway, that's going to finally do it for our high school coverage. Dave, you have 3 questions in the professional sports world for me.
I have 2 for you and 1 for Coach. But let's start with you. So 2-question quizzy for Pizzy. This is something that we talked about off air. It was a Nick Wright thing.
Hi, April Cross.
It was a Nick Wright thing about adding an additional NFL playoff team. We have 3 weeks left of the NFL season, and the AFC playoffs are already set. I mean, how right was Nick Wright? I mean, it's almost boring.
Yeah.
Am I right?
There's nothing to watch.
There's nothing to watch.
We're
the last
watching
3
season.
weeks of the NFL season in the AFC, there's nothing to watch.
I think that's the lost point on that is, do you know how many 7 seeds have ever won a game?
1.
1. So no, the 7 seeds do not contend for a Super Bowl, and that's what we're here to do is find out who the Super Bowl team is. I think still, to this day, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the only 6 seed to ever win a Super Bowl in the NFL
No,
playoffs.
the Giants
Giants
are
as
the 6th
well.
seed. Old Eli.
Old Eli, man.
Derpy Eli.
Don't ever come at me with Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. Oh, no way.
They're going to put him in.
I bet they will too. But yeah, no, I don't see the need for a 7 seed at all. I think if you are positive about it, the 2 seed comes in, they get a warm-up game before they go.
What they deserve is a bye, like they used to get.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't like the 7 seed. I get it. They're trying
the
to.
7 seed would give a first round bye to the first.
Well, no, it used to be 1 and 2 seeds
One and
got
two,
buys.
right.
Yeah, and now the 2 seed still has to play a game. Oh, he said a warm-up game, which you could lose a player.
Katie McDonald says 24 was Katie Wildner.
Or lose the game. What's
Thank
that?
you, Katie. So you said 24 for Bobby Kiver was Katie Wildner.
There it is. Wilder. Because I was calling him Widner, and he's like, it's Widener. I was like, he came over to me at halftime, it's Widener, because he was making so many shots, and I was like, Widner. He's like,
I always
it's
say,
Widener.
I'm the fat one, he's the loud one. Everyone can hear this, man. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, no, he straight up came over to correct me, because I think it was 6 threes in the first half.
But again, going back to it, the 7th seed in the playoffs, completely unnecessary. It's just a cash grab for the NFL and owners trying to get that revenue and blah, 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 blah.
That part.
And maybe they are trying to get it to
I've heard
a
they're trying
16
to
team
add
playoffs.
another game to this regular season.
Yep.
I don't mind that because if they do add another game, they're going to add another bye week, and they're never going to do this.
And that'll put Super Bowl on President's Day weekend, so we'll have a holiday.
But it would also, if they wanted to, make it a completely fair kind of bye week system where you have your first bye, it's spread out, whatever, because they want to get the money. But if they made everyone have a bye on 4 weeks left to go in the season, then everyone's fresh as they're ever going to be going into the playoffs. They're never going to do that because the NFL wants the money.
Right.
But they could make it like a little holiday where they have one team play on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday or Monday or whatever it is, and then give them the bye the week after.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal on that, but
I'm sure they can figure it out. But you got to figure out in a way that they're going to still make money, and once they figure that out is when they'll do it.
Now, one of the things that Roger, why he's saying that is he doesn't like the preseason. I don't mind the preseason.
It doesn't make as much money.
It's not, yeah, exactly. It's not my favorite thing, but it is like a lot of these underdog stories trying to make a roster, and you never know who you can get. So I do like watching preseason, especially Hard Knocks. Those are fun.
Yeah. But I think when you talked about the last few games of the regular season being boring, I think nothing's more boring than the preseason because I don't even like.
I'm going to respectfully disagree. I love watching guys kill each other to get those last 10 roster spots. I think they play so hard in those preseason games. It is fun to watch these no-name guys busting.
Really?
I'm one of those freaks that really enjoys preseason football.
I appreciate the concept.
I'm a freak.
I love the concept. If Hard Knocks version of it, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
loving it.
You got the story from the guy.
But when everyone's like, hey, when we're thirsty for football because we're wanting the season, and they say, and I'm a Cowboys fan, if they say, hey, the Cowboys are playing the Raiders, it's week 2 preseason, I'll get excited because I'm like, it's football season.
Yeah.
And I turn it on, and after about 5 minutes, I'm like,
it's yearly tradition.
I'm on my phone.
It's yearly tradition to turn on the Hall of Fame game and then turn off the Hall of Fame game. It's yearly tradition.
Oh, it's football. And
then a quarter in, you're like, oh, this sucks.
So that's exactly where I'm at too. Like with Coach Baker, I'm never excited for the preseason or anything like that. And if it's my team, I already know. Like the only thing I watch in preseason is other teams and see for some reason.
Yeah, I know.
Like
right?
I don't even watch my
see
team.
your own team, right?
But again, I'm with Dave too. It's like it is fun to see those kids trying to make plays, and because of Hard Knocks, I'm trying to get more invested.
And if you know some of these guys from college, like their college history and stuff, you're kind of rooting for certain players to make a team. I get that too. That part is kind of exciting.
MIZ.
But I'd be willing to cut a preseason game if we could get an extra.
I would agree with that.
Well, so Roger Goodell agrees with you.
Yeah.
Well, and then they could make it not preseason, and they could just have a joint practice type thing going on there for the extra game. It's not a big deal. Anyway, it doesn't need to be televised.
Yeah, no, they're going to televise.
Let's start the season earlier. I'm there with that.
You can start it earlier too, because
All right, second question for you. I mean, I got both of y'all, but for you. I don't know his name. I don't remember his name. I didn't care to look it up. So we had a guy quit in the third quarter of a game.
Oh, the linebacker
for the Niners.
Oh.
How do you feel about that? I know how I feel about it. How do you feel about that? Because there was a lot of people on the 49ers that had a lot of bad things to say about that,
I
gentleman.
cannot remember his name.
It wasn't
Devontae
Greenlaw.
Campbell.
Okay.
For the Green Bay Packers last year.
Oh, no, this isn't the first time this has happened. Somebody did it for Buffalo like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and so
I mean,
so
how
the
do you feel
Buffalo
about
one,
that?
the Buffalo one was a little different because he's like, I'm done with football. And he's just sitting there and they're having a tough season. He's like, why am I killing myself? My body hurts. I've got injuries I'm playing through. Like, why am I even doing this? Devondre Campbell was throwing a fit because Dre Greenlaw, one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL, I guess you just call them linebackers now. Nobody ever uses Sam or Will because we're playing nickel. Yeah. One of the best linebackers in the NFL comes back early off Achilles in the Super Bowl. And he's playing very well. And the defense actually looks good again in San Francisco because Dre Greenlaw's there. And he's throwing fits on the sideline like he's in elementary school or middle school. Like, I want to play. Like, you signed a contract. You're getting paid. Shut up and do your job. Just like I don't understand. Like,
is that what it was? He was a bad PT?
Yeah, that's why. Like I saw the George Kittle interview afterwards.
Situation where not happy with the playing time he's getting, and then when they do tell him to go in, it's I guess he felt disrespected by that. Whatever. So Yeah, it's a gripe over playing time.
Okay. I thought maybe it was one of those like, you know what, like I'm just done. Like I don't want to do this anymore. And football's a game where you go out there and you die. Anyway, so if you go out there with less than 100% motivation, you're gonna go out there and get hurt. You know what I mean? So I was personally like whatever, but if it was a playing time thing, then yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a playing time thing. That's what the interviews came out afterwards. I mean, Kyle Shanahan handled it as well as you could in the presser. He's like, he's no longer with the team. George Kittle gave some more insight where he's like, if I would have heard what he was saying in the moment, I would have addressed it right then, but I didn't. And he said, he goes, it's done, so I'm not going to talk about it. Then proceeds to talk about it, but that's human nature. You're like, I really want to get this out. I don't want to get this out. I'm getting this out. Screw you.
And he made himself low-hanging fruit to be, bulletin board material. Everybody can get their soundbite off on this instance because this is something that most people feel the same about. And I think it's a football culture thing where football is the ultimate team sport. So, that's not, especially at that high level, like you said, guys are going out there killing themselves to play. And on each play, so to have somebody that's supposed to be on your team, it's supposed to convey the same type of energy, and then he's just declining to even go out there. Football players aren't going to, but at the same time, I kind of see where the player's coming from. In the sense, not do I agree with them. I mean, he was cut.
There's two sides to everything.
Yeah. Well, no. They didn't cut him. They wanted him suspended because they didn't want him to reward his behavior and have him get picked up by something else. So they had him suspended for 3 games. So they didn't cut him. They suspended him to make sure that he didn't get picked up.
That's even worse than being cut.
Yeah.
But so I mean, which he should have been cut or handled, suspended, whatever that way, because that's just you know what you're playing. If I could put it in basketball terms, it would be if a player was mad about not getting playing time and felt like he should play, and I never sub him in, and then when there's 13 seconds left in the game, I'm like, hey, get in there, and then kid says, no, I don't want to.
Which I hear happens all the time.
That happens because at this point, the kid or the player is mad that they haven't gotten to play, and you're going to put me in the last 30 seconds or the last 10 seconds of this game. That's embarrassing to me. And football is like you said, so I'm going to go out there and kill myself for these 2 or 3 plays that you're telling me when I've been wanting to play the whole game. So I kind of, I have a little bit of grace for his feeling on that, but like you said, when it came to the guy with the Buffalo Bills, you give him a pass because he knows he's done with football. You're making that decision. You're making that decision to say, you know what, I'm done with football. Because as a football player, once you decide that I'm not going to give my all, even if it is just for 2 plays, you're not in the right environment.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get hurt out there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and even team-wise, you're not in the right team environment with the rest of those guys because all of those guys will go in and give it all for even if it was just 1 play. That's how football players are and football teams are. They just are that way. And if you're a person that's like, no, I'm not, I don't feel like I'm getting the necessary touches or a necessary amount of plays or whatever, that never goes good in a football locker room.
Yeah.
Well, and NFL's different in the fact that you have limited amount of plays. It's everyone's rotating teams, and so what you got to do is you got to get out there and get film out. You got to show that you can play, and so. Now, he was a good linebacker for the Packers. He was serviceable. He got a contract to try to replace Dwayne Greenlaw for the San Francisco 49ers. And even still, you sign a 1-year contract. You know what the contract is. Dwayne Greenlaw is going to probably be there for the postseason if they make it, which they're not. I know you're happy about that. But
you would think he'd be like, any chance I get to play, I'm going to go out there.
I mean, for me, there's just no – and like you said, football's the ultimate team sport. So – it's similar in basketball.
I'm like, there's nothing better than the Niners being eliminated.
but basketball, basketball is all 5 players on the court working together. But if it's not working, then somebody can take it over. We saw Sebastian do it. We've seen Jamin do it. We saw Julian Durand do it for the Brandon Colts as well. And that's not really the case in football, where on every single play, all 11 guys have to do their job to make 1 play successful. And a successful play is 4 yards from 11 guys. So. I think that's the case that, like you said, it's just different in football, and it's an ultimate team sport. And if you are on the bench, everyone is working, especially in NFL, to try to figure this out, get an advantage. What are we looking at? What are we doing? And now all of a sudden you got this guy in the background, Boobie Miles style. Like, you want to win? Put Boobie in. Like, Jesus. It's like, dude, can we talk about the game?
There was a situation earlier this season, wasn't it? The quarterback, for the Colts. Didn't he?
Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, didn't he check
Oh,
He
himself
checked
out?
himself
He said he
out.
was
He got
tired.
benched for a couple
He said he
games
was
on that one
tired.
until the Colts realized
That
Joe
should tell
Flacco
you,
ain't
right?
it.
That should give you everything you need to know about how football players and football teams think. Like, they did not appreciate that.
No.
In
We don't see that.
the
You don't see
quarterback
that in
Out of
basketball or football.
in basketball, a player could anytime be like, "Hey, give me a sub."
Yeah.
Like,
Anyone
we're gonna
else
get
on the
you-
field, everyone else on the field does it all the time. But you're the quarterback, and you're not. Like, it's not like anyone's asking you to sit there and run gassers 50 yards up and down the field like a wide receiver. You're not trying to take a 300-pound man and move him 2 yards.
Right.
Who's just as strong as you. You're a quarterback. You ran one time,
The
and you're asking
expectation
to
is
come
for
out.
you to play every play.
And it's like I tell Dave all the time, like when we talk about football and the intricacies, because I used to think quarterback was overrated. Obviously not anymore, because in football, it goes back to our wide receiver discussions about how they're getting paid, and I'm like, it's too easy to game plan a wide receiver out of the game. It's hard to game plan a running back out of the game because you have 6 people you have to game plan for, including the offensive line.
Right.
You can't take the ball out of the quarterback's hands.
Correct.
So if the quarterback is the best player on your team, there's always a worry about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got some more comments in the chat. Katie McDonald says that she's going to take her hop-along kid to an NBA game Saturday. She also says, how about those Rams, Dave? And then Ryan also says vacuum, I guess it means something.
All right, first of all, I'm not going to even acknowledge that. And second of all, that's a great segue to my third question for a coach. NBA.
Oh, God.
As a coach of high school basketball players, do you encourage, discourage, or indifferent about them watching NBA basketball?
Oh, I encourage you.
Really?
I encourage you. Yeah, because I'm over 40, so I get the talk about.
We all are, Coach.
I get how everybody our age feels about the modern NBA. I think I feel a little bit differently.
75 missed three-pointers, NBA record last night.
Yeah, that right.
Did that really happen?
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
there
by
was
a
a
team?
Missed, but no, by the
two
game
teams.
combined.
75
They
missed
set a
threes.
record for it. Now, some people are frustrated in watching that. I think, anybody's going to be frustrated watching that many missed shots. We just don't like to see basketball played that way. So that's kind of a separate, I don't want to talk about specifically that game, but just basketball in general, NBA. I always want my players to be fans of the game because that drives their momentum to want to keep getting better and loving the game. And the NBA is a good version of that, but it's not really a version of copy to how you want to play. I'm very clear with it and I say the NBA is a Hollywood version of basketball. So like it's kind of like Hard Knocks, the show Hard Knocks. It's kind of reality TV, but it's not the football season. It's not it's the Hollywood version of it, and we've all seen like movies like Hoosiers that you brought up before, and movies that can Hollywood up stories and games and plays. And that's kind of what the NBA is. But if we wanted to play a game or watch a game that was more similar to what we actually play, you ready to watch college basketball.
You were there?
Yeah. Well, what the NBA has done, I was at the Benson Holiday Classic, and I go shoot around with the kids at halftime and between the games and stuff, and all these kids are jacking threes. And I'm like, if you can't make it from here, why are you shooting it from over there? You know what I mean? But because, the NBA influence, that Steph Curry thing, where they're all just, it has to be a three, it has to be a three. I'm like, you can't make a free throw. I'm like, why are you shooting threes?
It's come down in the college game, too. It's filtering its way down. NBA is going to be an exaggerated version of it because, like I said, it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
So the way that the things that they do to Hollywood it up is encourage threes by certain rules or parameters of the game. Like players like Steph Curry can go out and shoot 20 threes in a game, maybe make like 6 or 7 of them, and everybody feels great about that. And it looks good because the growth of the fandom in basketball has been outside of our country.
Oh, yeah, global, yeah.
It's been global.
Yeah.
So a lot of the games originated here. So those that watch the game in the 60s, 70s, 80s, we're programmed to think basketball is a certain way. So when it looks a little different, we don't like it as much. But globally, the game is not the way the game was in the 60s and 70s in the NBA. It's more like the way it is now because so many of those global players are in the NBA. And I think what modern NBA's found out that old NBA had to stumble across was the 3-ball is actually better. It just is. That's why teams are missing so many shots, because the analytics will tell you,
Yeah,
I'd rather miss 3 threes and make 1 than go 50% on 2s, which are layups and dunks and mid-range shots are the hardest shots to get against NBA defenders. So you're shooting 3s are in a lot of ways you think they're harder because they're longer shots. Well, they're less defended. So, and they're worth more points. So if you have really great players that can make those shots.
But the death of the mid-range game, like, it doesn't exist
it's completely
anymore.
died.
Like, Karl Malone wouldn't be irrelevant in the NBA.
You're exactly right. And point being, if you watch the international game and watch any other countries play and their influence, the mid-range shot is the worst shot that you could take efficiently.
Yeah.
It's a great shooter's going to shoot them at about 48 to 50%.
Yeah, but Kobe was a mid-range guy, you know?
But it's a different game back
Yes,
then.
again, the NBA is a little different because it's a Hollywood version of it. So, Kobe and Michael Jordan, you have some outliers. There's probably like 10 players that we can all relate to. Like, hey, well, what about this guy? What about this guy? Yes, but think about the other 90% of the league.
Before we bring Coach on the show.
The other 90% of the league can't do things Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and LeBron James do. The average player, or the average person even, is more going to be the size of Steph Curry than the size of LeBron James. So how is Steph Curry going to survive in a league with playing against giants? You better be able to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
So we have guys that even in the high school, middle school level, that they shoot the ball, they work on it so much. Yeah, you're like saying, I see these kids, all they're doing is jacking up threes. Well, they're actually giving themselves an opportunity to make it to the next level. Because if you're not over 6'8", your chances of getting to the next level are not very high, unless you can shoot the ball at a really, really high.
And who is 6'8" nowadays?
I love it.
I'll tell you the one thing so I don't like the NBA game. Everyone knows that. I watched the college game. Missouri beat Kansas. No big deal. And
that's a really big deal. Actually, Kansas was like number 1 before that. But yeah,
took us a while, but we finally did it. But I think one thing that I don't like is the analytics part of it. You touched on it a little bit there. And I think it just takes the onus of responsibility out of the coach's hands. Like, well, analytics say to do this, that's why we did this. And so now it's all on the players making or not making the shot. It goes back into basketball. It goes back into baseball. It's just like
it's
so
very
let's
much
say,
like Moneyball in baseball.
Let's say you're not making 3-pointers and the team's up 20. Like, how do you come back? Well, you're up 10 or something reasonable where you can come back. Oh, we just got to make 3-pointers. Well, now the game's just like who's hot hot tonight and who's not.
It has turned into that. You see teams will win by 20 and then lose by 20, and there's a lot of these fluctuation, and a lot of that does come down to just hot shooting or not. But again, that's NBA, and if you really want to see good NBA basketball, you got to get into the playoffs where things get a little bit more tight. And it's
first round Western Conference playoff basketball is the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you'll still have a lot of threes being shot. I feel what you're saying though. The analytics, it changes the game. And once you get into such the business level that the NBA is, there's so many millions of dollars in play with player contracts.
Not if they can't figure out the game, because the TV ratings are down. They're not going to get the TV contracts the way they want anymore.
I think the TV ratings are down. Only because most people are illegally streaming NBA games.
Well, no, because they did the same thing with the NFL.
We had this discussion. I saw this discussion and I read this whole article about it. And there's so many people that illegally stream NBA games specifically because of the global influence. Like, not necessarily just in the U.S., but everywhere else. They're trying to watch.
Only Americans care about football, but there's a lot of people in India and China and other places that want to watch these NBA games.
That want to watch these NBA games, and there's a lot of players from these other countries that are on NBA teams that they have huge fan bases in. So it'd be like, certain players here might have a great fan base, like Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. She has a great fan base, especially in Indiana, right, or especially in Iowa. Mm-hmm. Very similar. There's a lot of NBA players that most casual fans won't even know their name. They're not big stars, but their whole country beauty.
Like
Their
beauty.
whole country is watching them play when they play a regular season NBA game, and they're like, you know, Yao Ming was like that. He had all of China. You know,
we have a lot of
engaged.
Europeans in the NBA now. Yeah,
So many. You can't even name. If you name the top 10 players in the NBA right now, I'd say at least 6 of them are.
Yeah. That's,
We do have
man, that's why we bring. That's
We
why
have a
we bring
question
Coach on
for
the game.
Coach in the chat, so we have a second question. Before we get to that, it is from Katie McDonald. She also says she has video of you, Dave, shooting at halftime, so we're going to have to get that.
How did that go?
Tay Walker in the chat says, my guy Dennis, proud of you. Tay Walker, of course, Latavius TJ Walker.
Yeah, you know who that is? That's TJ's dad.
Yeah,
From a football player.
He's been in our chat. He's like, don't sleep on TJ. I'm like, we don't.
No, you can't. You can't sleep on TJ.
So there's a thing now where you like to put the camera on me and watch. You know what? I'm glad that you're doing that because I'm seeing how much I'm not using my legs, and I'm just.
You're the one that told me that at free throws.
No, I know. I'm not using my legs.
Talking about that turnaround three.
No, I was at Wilcox. I went 10 of 11 on a stretch from deep threes. But like last night I wasn't
Shooting like Julian Durant out there.
Yeah. You should have seen me in my day. I was pretty good. But no, like last night I wasn't using it. You can see it. I'm watching this video. I'm like, man, you're not using your legs at all. Like that's some sloppy stuff. So yeah, fundamentals, kids.
So Katie back in the chat says, so why do high school kids that are taller hardly make shots right at the hoop? She was going back to what you said. It's harder in the NBA.
Fundamentals.
Okay, well that was for Coach,
Oh,
but that's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, especially, and I think Katie's talking about, because Katie's a St. David fan, they have tall kids and they can get the rebounds. Not just St. David, Pima. You see Pima miss at the rim a lot, and Pima's 6'4" across the board. So that is a good question. If it was harder,
I would say the easiest thing is it's harder than it looks. It's harder than it looks. You know, my wife goes to all my games that I'm coaching. Yes, she would say the same thing. Like, why don't we make our shots down there? I'm like, well, you should go down there, get a rebound, and see how easy it is to put that up when those other guys are defending you and you have the pressure of the moment and really a lot of contact. Usually the shots down by the rim, you think those are the ones that are the easiest because the closest, but those are the most defended areas of the court. So,
if I may, so what I'm seeing a lot is Big Bag gets a ball and it is so quick to try to get it back up, whereas opposed to taking that quarter of a second, establishing yourself and stronging that ball up, you know, because they're so quick, they get the rebound, just want to get it back up, and you're seeing a lot of misses. So they get the rebound, power your way back up, and shoot a good shot instead of just the urgency. Like I gotta get it up.
We used to say in our day, go up strong.
Yeah,
right?
go up strong.
Go up
Yes,
strong.
yeah. Instead of because what I'm seeing, we saw a lot of Kester Richardson last night, where a lot of these just kind of like those little tip up, trying to get the ball up instead of like you're the tallest guy out there, get the rebound, go up strong, and finish the shot.
It's a skill that it takes time to learn because it is a balance too. Because you also don't want your bigger kids bringing the ball down. And then getting scrappy with all the.
Well, even without bringing the ball down, so get the rebound, stop, keep the ball here, and then go back. You know what I mean? And go up strong. With that ball.
Right now we have some guys that we say get it and go straight up and keep it up there, and then we have some guys that we need to tell them to go up strong just because of where they are athletically. Like somebody like Jamie, for example.
Just go back up with it.
Do that. He could do that 4 times and just play with himself. Just
Jamie Booker
pat his
rebounds.
rebounds.
Both meet with the rim. He can jump off his toe and get up
Exactly. He can set up and give himself some offensive rebounds. And then we have other guys like Thomas Welker, who's our tallest player. He's a little longer, but he's not as quick with it. So he does need to gather himself and be able to power up strong. But then not go down there too long and not too low. So
you're right. It's balance.
It's a balance, and it's easy when you're watching. You're like, man, why are they missing all the easy shots? It's like there's a lot of fouls down there. There's a lot of contact.
There's a lot of uncalled fouls down there.
And you guys have probably played enough to know sometimes like the easy one is the most. You have the most pressure on because you feel like you have to.
I told him that again. I'm like, you could be too wide open. It is a thing.
Yeah,
it is really much a thing.
It's a mental thing.
Where you're like, there's nobody here.
I told him a story last night, and it was funny. Shout out my boy Matt Wilson, who's probably not watching in Kansas City, but we would always go play pickup basketball. Coach, I'm short, I'm fat, I'm wide. I know I'm not going to be on the court. So we'd go play pickup basketball. He's about my size, whatever. We're both football linemen. and we brought our center Terrell Webb, who's taller, and he was sitting there playing with us one time. So, like Matt, he'd sit there, get his form set, like take a little bit of time to get the shot up, but it would go in if he was open. And so he would yell out to me, "Don't guard Paul, because if you leave him open, he's gonna miss. But if you got a hand in his face, somehow it goes in."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Just don't." So that goes to your saying, like, you could be open because you expect to make the shot.
No,
it's just like golf. When I'm 50 yards away, I don't expect to make bogeys all the time.
I was trying to
It's
forget
the
about
pressure.
what's about to happen.
It's definitely the pressure.
It's the pressure.
Anyway,
I saw a kid do that same thing in a game the other day. He got the ball wide open from 3. He shoots it, he misses it. There's a battle for the rebound and goes out of bounds, so they get to keep the ball. The very next time he gets it, and there's only like a second on the clock now, right? In the quarter. He gets it from the same spot with only 1 second left. He's deeper, and there's somebody flying at him for a rebound. He chunks it up, and that one goes in. I'm like, the difference between those is like there was no pressure. Like he knew he only had a second on the clock. He was just throwing it up. No one's gonna be mad if you miss.
Right.
And then that's the one that goes in. You know what I mean? And that's how it is sometimes. Like especially finishing down low. We've had guys with wide open layups running down there by themselves, and you could tell like they're athletic. They could probably do all, and then they get real careful. Be like, oh, I gotta make this. I don't want
Can't miss this one.
And it's like, yeah, I'd rather you do that than try to be cool and then miss a layup by yourself. So we focus on that. We're like, hey, breakaway layups is what we call them. Breakaway layups. We tell Jamin this too, because you know Jamin just dunks everything.
Yeah.
But he'll get hyped up and he'll want to jump from the free throw line. And man, you guys should see this. You should see the stuff he does in practice.
Really?
In practice,
when's practice?
he's always testing what he could do, and he'll get these breakaways, and then we'll yell at him like, if you get a breakaway like that, we tell everybody else, just lay it up clean. We don't want any missed layups on a breakaway, and you'll get nervous and you'll feel by yourself. But with him, we don't tell him he has to lay it up, but just make a regular dunk. Cause
Yeah. We don't even want to.
yeah, he'll in practice he tries that
we don't
stuff,
wanna-
and sometimes he makes it, but
Is he
I'll
either
tell
two-footed
you,
jumper? Is he a one-footed jumper or a two-footed jumper?
either.
Oh, okay.
Either, but mainly one.
Okay.
Mainly
I think
one.
Douglas is great at both the boys and girls teams. Like we see, they easily every time always hits the center of the backboard, right in. Tay Walker in our chat says, "Go back to the fundamentals. Kids these days don't work on fundamentals. Play video games
Can't
all day
rebound
long
to save their
instead of
lives."
working on that
He's
game."
exactly right.
I mean,
He's
I
exactly
played video games. All
Yeah,
day
you
long.
see on Facebook. I met Jeff Malone and Olden Polonies. They were doing the basketball camp.
Oh, yeah, they were
at Roadhouse. So I met them. I'm like, by the way,
Roadhouse?
teach these kids how to rebound. I'm like, these kids can't rebound to save
No,
their
you're
lives.
right.
man.
It
I
is
swear to God.
fundamentals. I think a lot of times we talked about the 3-point ball. I think the 3-point ball gets blamed for the lack of fundamentals, but I don't think it's as much of that. I actually think it's over dribbling. I think most kids, when they're working on their game, they just want to work on crossovers and all these
You ever
different.
watched the Boondocks?
Yes.
That episode with
Yes.
Riley, that was hilarious.
Dribble too much, and it causes a like a black hole syndrome in players to where when you put them with 5 players and you're playing in a system and in a real game, guys can't just play the game without doing a bunch of dribbles to set themselves up.
There's really no iso ball. There's always going to be help defense in the high school game.
But players train themselves like they're playing iso ball.
Yeah.
And so the lack of team fundamentals, rebounding fundamentals, paint,
Moving without the ball.
the
setting
3-point
off-ball
ball,
screens.
the 3-point ball in the NBA numbers going up is more of telling over the lack of big men going to work in the post than anything. Because back in the day we had Shaq, we had him. Every team had one guy. Some teams had even 2 that you could go to on the block, and they would cause double teams and different things in the high school game. And now like players don't really train to play those positions anymore. Bigger players are shooting threes. They're dribbling and stuff. So
Kid from Phoenix, Christian last year, the 6'8" kid.
wants to shoot threes.
Well, he was banging the threes too. I'll give him that.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, if you're good at it, you're good at it.
Which is so funny. If you remember the evolution of where this kind of started, it started with Shaq, who broke the NBA record. The existing NBA record at the time was your Orlando Magic with Dennis Scott and Nick Anderson. Because it went into Shaq, double teams come down, kicking him out to wide open threes,
Exactly.
and it started the evolution. It started through Shaq. It wasn't
inside out.
Yes, inside
Right.
back. Yes.
Right.
Sounds like my career player on NBA 2K.
So was he a guard or a big?
Me?
You're my.
So
player.
I take my weight. I take my weight and just added the 10-inch foot to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I have to play.
Okay.
I'm not anyway. Anyway, that's enough of all that. We don't. Ooh. Katie McDonald's asked if we're going to the EAC tournament. Is that the one you're talking about?
I don't know. It's called the Aztec.
That's the Aztec. We don't know, Katie. Are you talking about Cochise
Pima?
College?
Is it at Pima?
Well, EAC, that's Eastern Arizona Community College, what I think.
Yeah, no, that's not the one. I don't know.
Maybe there's one. Maybe St. David's going to another tournament that I don't know about.
I don't know.
Either which
I
way.
know Buena's at the Aztec Classic at Pima Community College.
Again, thank you everyone for joining us on Cool FM Live. That's going to do it for all of our coverage. Now we have the showcase of all showcase. The big guy over there, Dave Davies. Dave, am I correct? You actually have another prediction for us this week?
I have a DaveStradamus / diatribe.
Oh, let's get right into it. No disclaimer needed for this.
Bringing out the big
No.
words.
He's raving. That's what we call Dave, and it's time for Dave's diatribe. Dave, take it away.
I am going to make all of America very happy right now with this one, okay?
Uh-oh.
So here's what's going to happen. The Kansas City Chiefs are not going to the Super Bowl, and this has nothing to do with football. The Kansas City Chiefs, because of what is something we talk about all the time, we talked about it today, greed. Money. And the Kansas City Chiefs are now the Golden State Warriors, and everybody wants to watch Kansas City Chiefs play. And because of that, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to play 3 games in 11 days. The human body cannot handle what's about to happen to the Kansas City Chiefs. By the time they get done with that 11-day stretch, there's not going to be a Chief left to play. They're going to have 1 game left in the regular season after that 11-game stretch, and Mahomes is already hurt. We have another game on Saturday, and then we have another game on Christmas on a Wednesday because the NFL is so greedy. And they're going to make these grown men play 3 football games in 11 days because we need more money. We need to have the Chiefs on the television. Well, you know what? Number 15 ain't going to be out there for that next game. And he might not be out there for the Christmas game either. You might lose the 1 seed because of this little 3 games in 11-day thing. And you know what happens when you lose the 1 seed? You don't have home field advantage anymore, and you're going into Buffalo. The Kansas City Chiefs are not going to the Super Bowl because the NFL is too greedy. And the NFL wants to watch number 15 and number 87, Dr. Double Shot, every day. And so thank you, America. You're welcome. You will not be seeing the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl this year.
I don't think any of the top teams in the AFC have a defense, brother.
3 games in 11 days. You are going to lose half of your team by the time
That's
this is
3
over.
games in 11. We have to go. The magic number.
The human body can't do this.
Buffalo has New England, which is division games, and New England possibly could upset them. And if they do, then we'll be good. But yeah, we have to go 2-1. It's going to be tough. Patrick Mahomes is suffering another high ankle sprain.
Okay. We're not talking about football. We're talking about what I just said.
I know, but this
They physically cannot do
this.
this.
Was he bringing in the 1 seed or not? What's
Well,
going on?
okay, and you're going to lose that because you're going to lose the Christmas game.
So
Preach, coach.
you don't think that the Chiefs can win the Super Bowl without having the 1 seed?
I don't think they're going to have the players to get to the playoffs. I think this 3-game stretch is going to break this team. I think it's physically going to like Detroit. Detroit's not going to the Super Bowl.
Here's the thing: the Chiefs.
Detroit doesn't have a roster anymore.
No, Detroit's different. I think Chiefs are different because they've been hurt all year. Now they're starting to get healthy. Like Hollywood who's going to come back for
Your quarterback is down
Saturday. Rashid is probably going to be in before the playoffs.
How down is Mahomes?
So he won a Super Bowl on a high ankle sprain. So he could, if there's anyone that could.
Is he going to miss any games?
As a fan, I would probably rather Patrick Mahomes miss the Houston Texans than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would probably hope that he misses both.
Those are the 2 teams you're playing in that stretch?
So we got T.J. Watt, and we have the team that's got the.
You play the
top
Steelers next?
We play the Texans.
The
Saturday.
Steelers on Christmas on 4
The
days
Texans
rest.
have the highest pass rush.
They're going to play the Steelers on
of
4
all
days
teams
rest.
in
They're
the
going to
NFL.
get killed.
I wouldn't play Patrick Mahomes in the
I wouldn't play either one of them.
No, we're throwing our left guard Joe Tooney out there at left tackle, who did a pretty good job against Myles Garrett, but that fell apart in the second half. Andy Reid, you talk about greed. Andy Reid finally showed a little bit of his ego. He's like, we're going to make this work. We're going to make these downfield plays work this game. And That's why
That's what I'm saying, because the NFL just has to show number 15
You're not
every
wrong.
day. Like, it's going to backfire on the NFL, and they're going to lose the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, they want them in the Super Bowl.
You know what
they're going to lose them
I
because of
thought
what they're doing.
the other
I
day?
don't know about that because I feel like as long as Patrick Mahomes don't get hurt, I like it.
But he is hurt.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he's got 2 weeks to come back from the high ankle sprain, and if they do get the 1 seed, that's going to be 3 weeks of rest, and that high ankle sprain will be good by then. If they don't, they're playing the 7 seed.
If on that Christmas Day game, if Chris Jones goes down, I don't want to hear it. Like they say, the NFL players take 2.5 days to even physically recover from playing a game, and now here we are 4 days later. Go do it again. Go do it again, boys. You know what I mean? So when Chris Jones goes down, I don't want to hear it.
So you're gonna have to tank one of those games, probably with Houston.
Straight up.
Probably Houston. But here's the thing with Houston. Is
You like a preseason game.
Houston is reeling right now.
Yeah, but not even on
So,
if you can win the game.
Can Carson Wentz come in?
He probably could still win
He's
the game.
didn't he won MVP with the Eagles? I'm pretty sure.
No, he was on his way to winning MVP.
Oh yeah, then he got hurt. So I mean, it is one of those things where he can come in and possibly beat the Houston Texans. We don't need much. Houston's offense is reeling just as bad as ours is. Our defense is playing. I mean, we'll just have to see. I mean, I don't
It's a
disagree with you.
53-man game, and you're going to lose 20 of them.
I don't disagree with you about the 3 days and 11 or 3 games in 11 days. Because again, it's asinine. It's counterintuitive to what the NFL has always said. It's about player safety. It's about player safety.
Oh, sure.
Players, we got to throw flags because of player safety, and then all of a sudden,
I don't know
by
what's
the
funnier,
way,
player safety or military intelligence. I don't know which one is a funnier thing there.
Ryan Russell in chat with a couple Daves on there. DaveStradamus, Dave's tragic story, or whatever. I guess I don't know.
No, I think as a fan of a team that's not in playoff contention, getting to the Chiefs, all they have to do is get to the playoffs. Like, that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
So worrying about what happens in these 3 games is not really that issue. But what he said, if somebody gets hurt, it only would take 1 or 2 players. Chris Jones, Mahomes.
And Chris Jones has never been hurt. Kelsey's missed 1 game in his life, so I get where you're coming from there. Like, what if they do go down? We've never had to play.
There's a man that doesn't believe in a jinx over there.
It could be disastrous, but
I'm also an analyst.
I'd rather feel. I don't know. Maybe
I don't know
Maybe
either.
I just see it differently. I
there's
just
no
feel like
wrong
there's
answer.
only like 4 teams in each conference that legitimately have a shot to win.
Yeah, so instead of expanding the playoff, we need to shrink the playoff. That's what we need to do.
Nope, we're gonna put an 8 team in there. Screw it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough. We talked earlier. What a diatribe. We didn't pre-show this. But we talked about season management versus game management. In the game, you're trying to win the game.
Yeah.
Right. In your story, coach, it's not even season management. It's also program management.
Yeah.
And it's bringing in people, like freshmen. Hey, we can get a freshman in right now and see how he handles the lights.
Hold on, one last thing before while we're on this subject, the NFL is so greedy.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
sorry.
Coach, what is Christmas Day for? What do we do on Christmas Day? We open our presents, and then it's noon, and then what do we do? We watch NBA basketball.
It's
We watch
always been
NBA
basketball.
basketball.
Yeah.
The NFL is so greedy
Yeah, they
that they're
wanna
running
jump
games
in
on
on-
Christmas Day on a
Right.
Wednesday. On a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, they're like, hey, we might as well get every dollar that we can.
Just steal from the NBA to be like, this is the NBA's day. Christmas Day is for the NBA. Yeah, it's always been that way.
Yeah.
And the NFL's going to steal that too.
Yeah, they
It's
already
so
had
greedy.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. They're on Black Friday. Now they have days on Black Friday, even though it's federally illegal to do it. So it's ridiculous. But folks, thank you to Sierra Vista Golf Center here at Pueblo Del Sol. Come down here. It's 75 degrees today. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to be the worst golfer you've ever seen in your life, and I don't care. It's still fun. Come down here at Sierra Vista Golf Center, play some golf. Free lessons for kids once a week. Oh, gee, Lord, Chad, I'm trying to get us off here. Coach, I've been here for
I
hours.
wish, but
They wanna
the
say
rig
they do the
rig
trivia.
comments are coming in. Did you know the Kansas City Chiefs under Patrick Mahomes are the 3rd most penalized team in the NFL? Did you know that there's no team has had more touchdowns taken away because of offensive penalties than the Kansas City Chiefs? I'm just saying those rig things.
Did you see that pass interference in the Bengals game?
You got those
Get out of
rebuttals
here.
ready.
What,
You
the
must be
Chiefs?
used to
The one that was
defending.
pass interference?
There's like every time all these illegal
So
contacts
you don't-
that take
so you
place
don't
on
want
3rd
them to
downs
call
and keep
the
the Chiefs
penalties.
extending drives.
No, that's the opposite way, brother.
The Chiefs fans are so delusional, it's insane.
Delusional?
It's insane. They might even run a presidential candidate next round. That's how delusional they are.
I just gave you numbers. You're giving me feelings, brother.
They're delusional. The only ones that don't see this are Chiefs fans. Trust me.
No, we
all
see it.
this
No,
the same
trust
way.
me, we hear it all the time.
What,
It's
that
just
it's rigged?
objectively
No,
incorrect.
against for the Kansas City. Kansas City should be
You think
like
it's rigged
Kansas
for
City
the
should be
Kansas
like
Get
one
him,
game over
coach.
500 right now.
Get him,
I
coach.
don't know about that. I think they get, at times they get
Like how
favorable
quickly we
calls.
forget Buffalo and Green Bay and New York and all this
teams
last
get-
year. So,
It's when they get these favorable
but here's the
calls.
thing.
I don't think it's rigged. I think when you're a team that's always winning and when you're
always
winning
on national TV.
close games, those calls that go in your favor are magnified.
I just have to
The
sit
Chiefs-
here.
the Chiefs-
no,
okay, no,
you
hold this
stop.
in
I
numbers,
just have
man.
to sit here. This isn't about the Chiefs. I have to sit here and listen to fans like you complain about every call that the officials have ever made in every game. But when it comes down to the Chiefs games, it's obviously rigged for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Even though what was the Green Bay Detroit call? Oh, they called offensive pass interference on Green Bay, but not Detroit. So that's rigged for the Chiefs now somehow. Like,
Okay.
what's the deal?
Hold on, real quick. How many games this year have the Kansas City Chiefs scored 30 or more points?
2.
0.
2.
0.
2. It's freaking 2.
Okay. Let's
I knew it was low.
Let's look at the other teams that fall into that same category that score 30 points a game that few times. They have 2 wins. They have 3 wins. They have 3
Yeah,
wins.
you're
they have
looking
4
at the
wins.
NFL memes. That's where you're getting your information. And the NFL memes where it's a completely inaccurate meme.
But I
They
will say this.
scored 30 against the
Out of
Buccaneers,
all
and they
those
scored 30
teams-
against the Panthers.
Out of all the teams that haven't scored 30 that much, I'm positive they have the better quarterback.
Oh, by far. Folks, this is a good
all
topic.
I'm saying is it's
There's a lot of
coincidental that-
misinformation
and a
out there.
quarterback
Make
that
sure
is like-
you check it for yourself.
I think what he's actually good at, and not just him, they're all
Katie McDonald, this is how we
Andy Reid-
normally talk about sports, by the way.
Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes combination, they're really good at closing games and finishing games to win. I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I have to give them that credit. The same credit that we used to give Tom Brady for being the comeback kid and like he had
We
this
felt the same
he had
way
this
about New
aura.
England. We felt the same way about New England. I saw New England games that were so blatantly.
You're right.
No,
Late.
but that's how you
Right.
wanted to see it. And I'm going to stop you there because we do have our friend Randy, who I think owns the Buena High School basketball shooting record, points record, whatever. He scored 40 in a game. I used to watch Patriots Chiefs games with him. And so before anything, like he would say, well, what about that call? Like, what about they didn't call it, blah, 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 blah. So that's when I kind of went out of the mantra, like, oh, these games are rigged for the Patriots. It's like, no, just refs don't make calls sometimes. That's all it is.
And when you're the dominant team, it's definitely going to look like you're getting the calls. I'm a Cowboys fan. I always heard that games were rigged for us for, you know.
And the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since '93.
Wait, hold it. This is my
They're
Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl champion hat here. We were a dominant team for 4 years. Nobody ever accused us of that. Not one time did you hear, no, they're rigging games for Seattle. No, because we just beat the crap out of people. We didn't need the referees. We don't need to have Taylor Swift voodoo magic to win football games.
I'll give you that. I'll give you
No,
that.
no, don't give him that. He's only saying that because it's the
when
Seahawks.
you win the Super Bowl, the way that they won the Super Bowl,
They
I'll
won
give
one Super
them
Bowl.
their credit. Yeah, that.
So that's the
They
thing.
had an era that was about 2 seasons long.
And nobody accused us of rigging games.
No, because there was no fatigue with your team. What you just said, the
There you
Patriots
go.
and the Chiefs,
There
everyone's
you go.
fatigued. Everyone's more
Cowboys
fatigued.
in the 90s
The
was
Ca-
that way. Yeah.
Everyone is mad about the
Nobody
Cowboys
accused
because
Dallas
all
of
the-
rigging games. Dallas just
Because
beat the
there were
crap out of
smarter people
But
living in
people
the
then
90s.
were always saying that the Cowboys were cheating, Michael Irvin's pushing off, and it's like we heard that same. Actually,
It's the
last
same
year
thing.
we got
have social
the
media
Lions
now
had
where
a
it's
terrible call.
overblown. Now everyone gets the information. Back in the 90s, you couldn't get that information
Yeah, the internet,
unless you
social media wasn't.
unless you snuck it out.
Well, you want to thank Synergy so we can get out of here?
I would love to.
God.
Synergy.
I wanted to avoid this topic. I knew eventually our show was going to deteriorate into this.
I didn't bring it up.
We just you.
It was somebody in the
didn't
comments that
bring it
said
up.
The
rigged.
chat did.
Oh yeah, they sure did.
Somebody said it was
I didn't
something.
bring
Ryan
it up.
Russell in the chat says this is gold. This is very good for the show, for sure, for this to happen. But objectively, you're wrong. And you brought facts that were inaccurate as well. So there you go. Anyway, thank you to Texas Roadhouse.
The Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl.
You
Just
might be right
smile
about
about that.
So here's
I
the
thought
thing
you were
about
gonna
that
say
is
the refs
that's
have anything
not
to say about
as
it.
outlandish as a statement as you think it is because there's been no three-peat victor in the NFL ever.
I know. We
So
know
quit
what's going on.
acting like
There's
you're out on it. You're out on this.
There are extracurricular forces that are moving the Kansas City Chiefs towards this record that they have right now. It is not football related. It's other things related, and those things aren't going to be.
So God is with the Chiefs.
No.
is,
Or the
because
opposite. The
No,
opposite
he
of
says
God.
save.
The opposite of God.
But every single Chiefs player, when you hear this is what's
Taylor
funny
Swift
about
is the
Dave. Every single Chiefs player, when you hear him in an interview, the very first thing is got to give the glory to God, but he doesn't hear that.
You got to give all glory to Taylor.
Hey, I'm not
All
going to
glory
turn this into a
Taylor.
religious show. I don't have a dog in the fight. It is what it is.
I'm going to stand by the
I
finish
like to
button
point out
so
the
we can actually
hypocrisies
end this.
in what he says. That's just it. I try not to be hypocritical.
I'll see you at Tombstone tonight, baby.
But thank you to Synergy HomeCare, Sierra Vista, for that wild ending to our high school sports show. Thank you, Coach Nez Baker,
Yes, sir.
for having a reasonable head on you and understanding what's really going on. Thank you to Texas Roadhouse. And thank you, of course, to the Sierra Vista Golf Center at Pueblo Del Sol.
Tell them about the pickles again.
They have a Toys for Tots program here. You tell them about the pickles. You're right there.
Go to Texas Roadhouse, mention our show, get free fried pickles or potato skins.
And you folks just got a little glimpse into why Dave and I started a sports show. This used to be at 3 in the morning. We used to argue like that. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time. We'll see you tonight on Cool.